I sometimes feel that there's some rule book that I haven't read when it comes to parenting. Because I really think that I've got 4 children ranging from 18 down to 7. And I think it's entirely up to every mother individually. We are best placed to do a risk assessment in each situation based on what we know about our own child, their personality. And, you know, we are best placed to do that, not another person. So personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving. I don't think there was anything wrong with last night's situation. That baby was left alone for, what, 3 minutes or something, and it was crying. I mean, it's not going to kill it to cry for a little bit in the car. I didn't think it was unsafe. I'd be less inclined to leave my 7-year-old in the car alone because she could get out and get hit by another car on the road. But a newborn baby strapped into a car seat, personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Is it your 7-year-old that you left in a car in a filling station and she crawled out of her seat and came out through the sunroof? That
was the first time I realised she could undo her car seat. Yes, I was paying for the petrol and the guy behind the till said, "Is that your daughter?" And I looked out of the window and she was standing on the roof of the car yelling, "Buy me an ice cream."
So was that the last time you left her alone in the car?
No, I just tell her not to get out, and I threaten her if, you know, I say to her, "Don't get out of the car," obviously. But that was, it's a constantly evolving situation as a parent.
Do you agree with this, Karen?
No, I don't agree at all. And I would say any newborn baby, I mean, mine is 6 and 8, you can choke, you can throw up. You know, in less than a minute, that baby could have been dead in the car. If that baby just had a bit of sickness and were choking on it, it could have been dead so quick. I don't think ever, in any situation, there is ever a time when, me as a parent, I would never preach to anyone, and if they want to do that, they can do that. But I would never in a million years think of leaving any of my boys in any instance where I'm not there. And like the petrol station situation, I try and put different things in place. So I would always fill my car up when my boys were at school. Then I'm not in that predicament of trying to get them out the car on. There's little things that you can do, but no, I'd never. There's no, as far as I'm concerned, anything can happen.
So, because you were talking about this rule book that you may not have read. I mean, there is no... the law actually says there is no set age at which children can be legally left alone. It simply states that a child should never be left home alone if they would be at risk. So this is what you're saying.
Yes.
You do your own risk assessment of the situation. However, the NSPCC guidance states that children under 12 are rarely mature enough to be left alone for long periods of time. Children under 16 shouldn't be left alone overnight, and babies, toddlers and very young children should never be left alone. So that's what they suggest. You've got yourself into all sorts of trouble with this, actually, and you're sort of quite brave speaking about it today, because last time you went on the record and said somebody reported you to social services.
They did, and, you know, I don't understand what kind of... I mean, the way I feel about this is we are all doing our best. I love my children. I would never intentionally put them in harm's way. I do my absolute best. It's my life's work being a mother. This is what I have thrown myself into 100%. I would never intentionally do anything to harm my children. I'm talking about parenting within the normal spectrum. Most mothers wouldn't. We are all just muddling along, doing our best, making decisions, you know, the best way that we can based on what we know about our children and their personalities. So, yes, I did once in the summer holidays. Well, actually, no, not once, several times, to walk the dog down the lane in the summer holidays for 10 minutes. My 4 or 5-year-old was very happy watching TV. I'm more inclined to leave her in the house on her own than my 16-year-old, actually. So, based on having 4 children across various different ages, you have to make a risk assessment based on what you know about them.
How did you feel about being reported to social services?
Well, I just think it's the worst thing you could possibly do to a person. I mean, I know who did it to me. It was another mother at the school. She makes decisions about her parenting life that I wouldn't be judgmental about. You know, I personally don't think it's OK to leave a 14-year-old on his Xbox all day. She lets her son do that. I wouldn't report her to social services for it. She reported me... She doesn't truly believe that my child was at risk. She reported me to social services because there's something wrong with her and her life.
I've reported many situations where I felt the children was in unsafe situations, and I wouldn't... Oh, absolutely.
In what sort of situations?
More in when I was a counsellor in that capacity, and you just see more, you're out in the community.
But what about... I can understand that a lot more, but what about if you walked past a car and there was a child in there alone?
Oh, I would absolutely ring. I would ring social service.
Is there something wrong with her?
I don't think you've got any right to do that, actually. And I think it's really concerning that women are so judgmental of each other. You don't know the risk...
Is it what that judgmental of the other mother, or is it being protective for the child.
Right, I don't.
I wouldn't be judging you. I'd be concerned. It would be out of concern for the child more than anything.
I think that the woman that reported me to social services wasn't actually concerned. That she knows that I'm a good mother. She knows that my children are not. She was doing it because she had a personal problem.
Sure, you've made that point. But as far as you're concerned, are you just an interfering busybody?
No, because the issue is here. It's not a case of. I don't think anyone will say you're a terrible mother, you're a bad mother. But it's looking at the risks outside of it. OK, a child's in the car, and you might say, the baby's in the seat. There's no problem whatsoever. But what if a car smashes into that car?